All right, everybody. Hope you are doing well out there. Hope you're having a great time. It is me, Andrew Esquire, Legal Mindset here, coming to you from the last hotel room I will be in America before I am back to Korea tomorrow. So I have an early morning flight out of DFW tomorrow, back to the land of soju and Jesus Christ, much lower prices. But tonight, I cannot go away. I cannot leave America without speaking to you guys, even if it's in low quality, even if it's in a slightly sketchy hotel room. I had to come to you guys for an episode. So we're going to go here. We're going to be joined probably by Valiant as soon as he stops being Tug, as soon as he drops his umbrella guy persona and he joins us. He'll be jumping in on the screen. Got a little bit to talk about, but more than that, I want to say what's up to all you guys. I hope you're doing well. I hope you guys enjoyed your weekend. I hope you had fun. I certainly did. I had a great time. It's good to see you guys from around the world. Let me give a shout out to everybody who's here. So shout out to Corrections 101. What's up, brother? Good to see you in the chat. Shout out to all my members, Blonde Asian, Canada. What's up? Good to see you in the chat. Yeah, we've got my mods. I see Danielle here, who's what's up in the chat here. Chris, what's going on? Good to see Chris. So really appreciate all you guys jumping in here. We got 400 with you here with me on a Sunday night because it's Sunday in Texas right now. I will say, I enjoyed my stay here. Things I missed. I missed barbecue. I missed tacos. I missed good Thai food because Korea really doesn't have good Thai food. I missed a lot of whiskey selections, tequila selections. I missed that as well. Good mojitos, something I missed as well. Although I have had one or two good mojitos in Korea. But listen, the land of customer service and soju awaits. So let me jump right into it today here with what we've got. And I see you guys jumping in from around the world here. I see Australia. I see US. I see Sweden here. I see LA. Jesus Christ, LA. Save yourself. Save yourself quickly. But glad you're here no matter where you're from. Marvelous says, why do your eyes look two directions at the same? Well, Marshallist, maybe it's your eyes that are looking two directions at the same time. Have you ever considered that? But good one. Thank you. Appreciate the super chats no matter what. And my policy is I will read them unless they're like something that's going to get my chat taken down or punished. So I always read the super chats, guys. Just remember that. Base Chica says, my dad makes great mojitos. My mom has a whole herb garden and it has mint in it. See, that's what I want. See, that's how a lady can win my heart is start a garden, put some mint in it, and make me a mojito. If that is possible, then true love is possible. I believe in it. It'll make me believe in it. All right. So let's get started here today because we got lots to cover, and I've got a really early flight tomorrow, so I'm trying to do this as quickly as I can while enjoying it with you guys. So let's jump right into it. So first of all, I want to start with the media doubling down, right? So the media has 100% doubled down regarding backing Heard. And I know some of you guys are asking, hey, I thought you were going to transition. Yes, I'm going to transition topics, right? Especially when I get back to Korea, I have more time to research. But, I've been in this world of Debt v. Heard. I know a lot of people are still interested in it. And there's some juice to squeeze out of this news that's been going on. So we're going to cover it today. When I come back in Korea, maybe we've got some other topics too to float out there when I'm back in 2 days. So let me just show you what's going on here. And this one is interesting with Tug. So obviously you've got this Taylor Lorenz drama. Now I know a lot of other people have pounded this into the sand, but I really haven't said shit on this. And I want to tie this in with something I've been talking about. So I said from the beginning that the mainstream media is not going to take this lying down. The mainstream media does not roll over and take stuff and just, willy-nilly, take an L. The mainstream media does not take L's. They always need to follow up. They always need to destroy people. So because Tug really, really owned them on the Amber Heard issue, they're going to go out of their way to try to demonize Tug, demonize Nick, demonize Alita, demonize everybody, whether they're a nice guy or a mean guy. I mean, they can be a person who's, got this, sweet as pie Southern voice and just does pop culture stuff, but they're going to destroy him because, look, they don't like his hat. What's going on, Valiant? Speaking.
Yeah, I kind of saw where that one was going.
Hey, man, good to see you. Hey, and let me stop this for a second before we jump into this. But Valiant, I just want to say thank you for during the trials coming on and streaming with me and taking your time to stream with me. I really appreciate that. I know you were busy. You've got kids, so I want to say as a person to person, I wanted to say thank you. So I really appreciate that.
I was happy to do it. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, sorry, I was having a little issue. I didn't realize I still had like multiple StreamYard windows open from earlier. I took this camera down the other night because I was using. You can still. I haven't gotten a chance to reset it yet. Now all of a sudden it's deciding to have focus problems because I decided to use it for another venue the other night. So now it's going kind of crazy on me. But no, it's good to be here. It's good to see you.
Yeah, no, and we're going to be talking about a lot of pop culture tonight, and like I want to get through the mainstream media stuff, but then we're going to go into Hollywood and pop culture. So I think this is like right for you to come in, and I know you've been talking about good movies, so it'll be a transition to talking about bad movies, aka Aquaman 2. So let me get these.
While you're hunting that, I tell you what, I'm going to pull up some IMDb Pro data because I've got a pro subscription to IMDb. Let me see if I can dig up.
This is why I bring this guy on. He is a specialist. He's got the data. He's got the facts. I don't know shit about math. I can barely add. Right, I took statistics for social sciences. We did like
all of my lawyer clients are terrible with math. The two clients that I have to do the most hand-holding, attorneys and doctors, when it comes to financial planning, which is great because that's what I do. That's what I'm here for.
Speaking of finances, people say, is gas higher in the U.S. than Korea? It's about equal now. So what really happened was gas was always been abroad. If you've ever lived abroad or been abroad, gas is generally more expensive. It's also sold by liter, not by gallon. So a lot of people, when they look at the prices, it's not apples to apples. A gallon is more than a liter. So, right, you're not comparing apples to apples. But when you equalize that, gallons, 2 liters, right, it's now pretty much normalized. So while the rest of the world has been paying these prices, we're really the ones that are in US dollars suffering here. So that's the big change. Obviously, it's 2x from when I was in the US last. So, well, except for my short vacation. But when I was here a year and a half ago in the US, it was $2 or sometimes under $2. Now, obviously, thanks to certain policies, we're back up. We're back up at 4, maybe, and I see some places pushing 7. So fun stuff. Matrix says, just a quick note to you, Andrew. Thank you for being unbreaded all the time. Sorry for calling you Larry a month ago. Love you and Larry. Hey, it's fine. It's fine to call me Larry. That's totally fine. Jasmine says, Amber dates jobless and unknown women, but targets only super rich men. That proves she loves girls, but plays men. Narcissist resource gathering. Yeah, I mean, I've said this before, and look, I'm the one saying this, not Valiant. I'm just going to say it. I'm the guy who says it, is that when you see a person who openly is using both genders kind of to their advantage and they're dating and switching around and jumping around, that's a red flag, right? It's different if you're kind of having your escapades, but when it's convenient for you, you're going one way place or another, and you're using men and women, conveniently to your benefit. That's a red flag. So Valiant, you've got some data up. Do you want me to pull that up now, or should I?
No, whenever you're ready. I was just sharing it for when this is the IMDb page. I'm going to scroll through it. I just wanted to share it with you.
Got it. Okay, let me share this first, and let me just go through what I was going through. So essentially, I think you probably saw this Taylor Lorenz drama with Tug here. So obviously, and we've talked about this. You've been on stream when I've talked about this, and that is all of us. And we're seeing this right now. And I've said this with Star Wars, with we've seen this before. We are all once again, this is Taylor Lorenz saying, no, this type of coverage is irresponsible and dangerous. It's misrepresenting my words to amplify a manufactured outrage campaign by the right-wing media and radicalized influencers. So Valiant, you, me, everybody, we are right-wing and radicalized.
Yeah.
We're radicalized.
And by that, we mean we have a different opinion.
Right.
Let's be clear on that one.
Yeah, it's very, very funny how that's the narrative now.
Yeah. You're not allowed to think for yourself, and you haven't been for a long time with some of these nut jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of nut jobs too, I want to cover this real quick because somebody did a good point. So a lot of people covered this Stanford law professor, Michelle Dauber, right, who came out and made fun of Camille Vasquez and did all this other stuff. And once again, these are people in the mainstream media, and mainstream media adjacent who are coming out and giving this backlash and simping for Amber and kind of backing her up. Well, why did Michelle Dauber back up Amber so readily? Well, it turns out she's been all through since the beginning, the believe all women believe her industry. If you go over here to literally the anatomy of the industry and you just do a little control F here, we're doing a little control FCs for funsies, right? And you want to just go right here and we go to Michelle, right? Let's go to Michelle. Oh, look at that. That's her full name. Look at this. She's in it. The whole anatomy of the discussion from the frickin' beginning of the timeline here. She's showing up. So she's somebody who's been grifting on this since what year did she start grifting on this? Last 2022. But she's been grifting on this since the beginning of this, which is essentially 2011. So when this thing was creeping up in 2011, here you go. Here's her first appearance. Sorry, here you go. April 4th, 2011. Michelle Dauber was at an event over Title IX, right? Which is related to this, related to gender relations, et cetera, talking about these issues in 2011, right? So she's been grifting off this for a long time. So when you see people who have a vested interest in this, I mean, obviously they're going to be pushing back because this is something they've made money off of for the last decade. I mean, 2011, right? Over a decade. So I'm not surprised. Like I'm not at all surprised that she would say nasty things because you're threatening her livelihood, you're threatening her grift, right? So of course she's gonna fight back. Of course.
Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of the Title IX provisions, that's what's been thrown around in college athletics for 10, 20 years now. And for those of you that don't understand, so the whole, men and women in college athletics, they have to be more parity between the two, which is fine. Yes. But what they do is, what Title IX has done over the years is, generally speaking, college athletics, you'll have the men's sports. That generates 90% of the revenues at a college or university. And specifically, it usually comes from, especially if it's a big school, the football program. That's U.S. football, not soccer. But the football, college football, sometimes baseball, basketball, depending on the school, depending on the conference. And then money kind of gets pilfered out from the profits of those programs to then support the other sports. And a lot of them are also men's sports as well. There's most men's sports at colleges do not turn a dime. They lose money for the college. Right. Now we see this on the professional side because famously, and this really isn't so much Title IX, but WNBA. WNBA only exists because of the NBA. If the NBA did not have the clout and power that it does, especially with its television contracts, the WNBA doesn't exist because it's the NBA that basically writes the welfare check, for lack of better words, over to the WNBA to support it. If the NBA didn't have the power and clout, then there would be when they sign an NBA contract for television broadcasting rights, at least this is the way it was 5-10 years ago. They had to agree to broadcast so many WNBA games as well. That's why they're on TV. It's you look around, there's 4 people in the stands, and the ratings on it are 5 people watching around the country. You wonder how the hell is it still on TV?
Valiant. It's because everybody is misogynist. That's what it is. Yeah. Everybody is misogynist.
It's contractually obligated because of the NBA contract. So that's the kind of stuff that this lady Dauber has been around. Basically, this is the whole same thing that we've seen recently with the women's soccer team movement, right?
Yes. Which, by the way, the men won the trial. The soccer federation, it wasn't even the men suing because the men just wanted to keel over and give them the money, give them whatever they wanted. But the soccer federation is no, you guys don't bring in shit. Nobody buys your merch. Nobody. I mean, the factor, we literally offered you the same contract, which was, for example, instead of getting paid stable amounts per game, right? Which is what the women wanted, because women generally, and by the way, guys, it's a generalization, women out there, ladies out there, but generally women prefer more stable contracts. Men are okay with risky contracts. So the men got paid 0 during COVID, right? When they weren't playing because they were paid per play versus women who were paid regardless, right? So during COVID, right, if the men sued the women, well, they look like they were discriminating against the men. And by the way, it's supposed to work both ways, right? But of course the men didn't sue. They never challenged that. So eventually they eventually just got tired of this appealing and this marketing campaign and everything else. So eventually they settled. I don't know why they did or why they felt the need to. Maybe it was a PR move. But frankly, the men's team is the one that brings in the dough. I mean, at the end of the day. Now, the women's team may be very successful, but they don't bring in the same amount of fun. So it's all about being realistic and saying, okay, let's look at the numbers here, because at the end of the day, these are businesses, right? And businesses have to run.
It's not just about how much time you spend doing the job. It's about how much your time results in actual financial productivity. And that's the big difference between the two sides is the absolute financial productivity. Even though like you said, the men's teams aren't as successful as the women's soccer team. They don't win the championships, but at the same time, it doesn't matter because they're pulling in 10, 50, 100 times, whatever the hell it is, more money each one of those games because of the television broadcasting contracts, because of the merchandise sales, because of the butts in the seats.
Yep. People are coming to the games, right? That's a big thing. Yag says in Ireland, we're at 210, 215. I'm assuming talking euros there per liter for diesel. A mix of new taxes, EU clown sanctions that didn't work but hurt us. And I remember it was 136. I mean, I'm in freaking Texas right now. And it's like 450, 460, 475. I mean, I just was lucky that the rental that I had was a E85, so I could pay 411, and I was like, yes, 411, awesome.
Yeah, it's about 450 here in Louisiana too. I mean, this is Louisiana and Texas this is where the gas comes in, guys.
Right.
This is where the gas is the cheapest. Where I am, where Andrew is right now. And that's per gallon. So I mean, per liter, you're talking about the equivalent of $8-9, and of course that's in euros. So you're probably almost $10 a gallon.
Yeah,
that's what that sounds like.
Yeah. Pastor Flash says, hey there, not Umbrella Man. Hope you all doing excellent this fine day. And I did put that in my Twitter in case you guys saw. I saw one person saying, this is Tug. And I'm like, no, that's the inside joke, guys, that Valiant.
Did you really tag Tug in this video on Twitter and tell
Maybe I did. Maybe I did.
Oh, God, you're going to get me in so much trouble. Tug, I had nothing to do with that, buddy.
He had everything to do with it. Don't believe him. It was all conspiracy because
you got me on the show just to pound on me.
He told me to do it because Tug, aka Valiant, ordered me to do it. I'm joking, guys.
It worked. I got like 30,000 in super chats this afternoon because everybody thought I was Tug. No, I'm totally kidding. I got like $50.
I mean, apparently his voice is hurting today, so shout out to him. Hopefully, get some rest. I know he was driving himself crazy during the trial, and I know he's got the young kids, so that's always a challenge, as you know.
Oh, indeed.
Matrix says, I'm a hospice RN and drive 3 counties daily to take care of patients. This is unsustainable. Yeah, you know what's funny? I was getting my COVID test to go back to Korea because you need a COVID test, right? And the nurse that was giving it to me said she cannot afford to keep her job. Think about that.
Yeah.
She can't afford to keep a job, which
I can't believe they don't pay you gasoline reimbursements or something, fuel cost reimbursements. Or I don't know if you're through an agency or a hospital. I'd be curious. I have a lot of nursing clients. I mean, I don't have any of them that I think that do hospice home visits, but my Lord, that's crazy.
Faulkner says, because the U.S. is adding more ethanol to gas, vehicles are getting less MPG.
Yes,
which makes
this is true.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that we had like more ethanol than other countries. Interesting.
Well, I don't know about other countries, but I mean, for a while you've had. I mean, look. The first stop on every presidential tour every 4 years is where.
Iowa, right? The corn.
You got to get the ethanol in there. It is less. That's why they tell you buy.
It's all about the corn.
It is. You can't put 87 octane ethanol based gas in your chainsaw or your lawnmower. You'll murder it. It'll work in a car, but don't put it in your 2-stroke stuff.
It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get to this one I wanted to share with you here, and this is, I think, will really kick off a conversation between you and I, Valiant. This is the article that somebody brought up and sent. They put it on Twitter, and I said I will cover this. Right. So Amber Heard support grows slowly in Hollywood after Depp trial verdict. So there's some folks.
That's an interesting headline.
Yes,
there's a lot to dissect there.
There's a lot here. So obviously, the trial gripped everybody. Blah blah blah. To be fair, they do say, look, she's guilty on all counts in order to pay Depp $10 million and $5 million punitive, and then talks about the lowering. But the people that have come out, the interesting thing, the people that have come out in support Mia Farrow and Ed Norton. So Ed Norton went out and, of course, people read into a lot of Instagram likes, right? So, for example, like Elon, made like a kind of impartial tweet here saying, I hope they move on at their best. Each are incredible. I mean, I feel like that's waffling because he knows his a lot of the Elon fanboys are probably more in the Depp camp, but yet he did bang Amber Heard. So, there's that. So he's in a weird position, right? But a lot of other people liked both of their tweets, right? And a lot or their Instagram posts, right? Because Amber Heard posted this thing, and I've read this one. This is the, I'm disappointed with what this verdict means for other women, right? It's a setback in time, blah, blah, blah. It's going to send women back to the 1950s, that. So you see, this has got almost 500,000 likes. So there's a lot of delusion out here. So people who liked it, you've gotten people like Naomi Campbell, Paris Hilton. Oh, no, sorry, that's Depp, right?
Yeah.
So actually, like Jason Momoa,
he liked them both.
This and Depp's, right?
Yeah.
But Mia Farrow called the verdict chilling, right? So I think she's taking this is going to have a chilling effect on women standpoint. And Norton liked a comment saying men need to be honest about what happened here. And that was linking it to this article, which I've covered, which is the actual malice of the Johnny Depp case, saying in the post-Me Too movement, misogyny and celebrity go hand in hand. This talks about how everybody who supports Johnny Depp is a misogynist. I've actually covered this article before. I'm not going to go into it again, but him liking the tweet that includes this article makes it endorsing this article. So
yeah.
I don't know. Look, I haven't followed Ed Norton much. I will say, some of his movies that he's been in have been pretty good. But it's just interesting to me. I don't know how it comes out, Valiant, where that the majority of people that are listening to this, because I had a chance to talk to normal people about this case, and it seems like this is something that most people would agree doesn't look good for Amber Heard, right?
No.
So that most people have said, yeah, Amber Heard's crazy, she's a psycho, right? Hollywood coming out to support her, especially individual actors who don't need to do anything, right? They have no obligation to say anything. They can stay quiet. They can stay uninvolved. Just coming out to support her seems like a bad PR move on their part. Like, maybe if you're really heavily involved with Me Too, maybe if you're really heavily involved with Believe All Women, then maybe you feel an obligation to. And I don't know, honestly, do you know Edward Norton's and Mia Farrow's politics, or they're kind of
Norton? Yeah, Ed Norton is pretty left wing. My understanding, he always has been. Now, Mia Farrow is kind of more interesting because it's Mia Farrow. Mia Farrow, she's got to be 70 plus. I mean, she hasn't really done anything in a long time. So, I mean, her coming out and saying something in my mind is relatively innocuous. I'll be honest with you, probably most of the people reading this have no idea who the hell is Mia Farrow. I hate to say that. That's just,
I can't name the last movie she was in.
Exactly. I mean, I can't think of the last one either.
Yeah.
I mean, Mia Farrow was famous. I think her most famous film was Rosemary's Baby. That was in the 70s.
That was in the 70s.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're going back a long, long ways. And the fact that she was at one point married to Sinatra.
Yes. That's a fact I do remember about her. She was married to Sinatra.
Here's the thing is I don't, and Ed Norton, here's another I can't remember the last movie that Ed Norton was in. And like you, I've enjoyed a lot of his stuff over time. He's been in some really, really good films. Films that I've always enjoyed. But it's one of those things, like always, it's like, please, once you get off the set, shut up. Just please shut up.
Well, and the thing is, he can be as left-wing as he wants. There's plenty of people. I mean, look, all of Hollywood is left-wing, and there's people in the chat. I mean, people that have been in the chat and following this that are on the left side of the field. It doesn't need to be a politics thing. It's making it now. I will say, when you add that to it, as we've discussed during this, you're making it a right-left thing. They're making it a right-left thing because they feel the need to make that alignment, to link that up, when this can be an issue where you say, look, it's about victims, it's about abuse, it doesn't need to involve politics here, but Edward Norton and Mia, by endorsing this, are making it political.
Yeah, and it is. And again, like I said, that's the big thing is like if you're, and I say that because if you're going to be an entertainment figure at that level, why go out and alienate half your audience? And especially in this case, um, this is a matter that has now been decided by a jury of their peers.
Right.
And a not, this wasn't a fly by night victory here. This was, you had to convince 7 people unanimously,
right,
for a very difficult to prove situation, defamation. Most cases like this, my understanding, never make it to a courtroom because they're incredibly difficult to challenge.
Yes.
But they felt A, they had a case here, and B, that they proved it beyond a shadow of a doubt. I mean, he won every count, and the only count that Amber won was a gimme that was something that Johnny Depp didn't even do.
Right.
His lawyer did it.
Right.
So,
and they were implying that under Johnny, which is like, all right, that's
exactly.
a stretch, but okay.
Exactly. So that was the gimme. The gimme was something that Johnny himself didn't even do. And I cannot stress that enough for everybody out there, because I think that's a very critical point that a lot of people are skipping over.
Yeah.
But I think most of Hollywood, I think of the headline people, the people that are active in Hollywood now, I haven't seen too much out of them. I mean, at least not in a public statement. I mean, it's one thing to like an Instagram post. It's one thing to like a tweet. It's another thing to actually come out and make a statement. And I think they've got to know at this point the writings on the wall. And especially as I think we get into the topic of, talking about Aquaman 2, we're going to see, because that was Walter Hamada put that to bed in court. And that's the kind of thing when it's like, look, you got a major Hollywood studio now that's backing off from her. It doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. She's toxic. She's poison. And in Hollywood, that tends to, get one people all to one side or the other faster than anything. Just like they said in the trial, you get accused of being sexually abusive. That's a death sentence in Hollywood.
Yes.
So that's what happened to Amber. That's now what's happening to Amber. You're watching it in real time.
Yeah.
You'll have a few people come out and say things, but I think after what people saw in that trial, there's no way you can come out of there and legitimately with a straight face look me on and tell me that again, is Johnny perfect? No.
No. But you can't go and say she did no wrong and she did not, and she was not in some way being abusive to Johnny. Like, I don't think you can walk out that having watched that and saying, yep, all that is normal behavior that normal people do. It's like, no, I don't think so.
I see a comment in the chat out there. We're gonna address that, about the Aquaman screen time, folks. We're getting there.
Yeah. We'll get to that. That's actually one thing I want to bring up. So Matrix says $50 to $75 paycheck depending on prices. I spent over $500 a month in gas. Wow, their help isn't helping. Yeah, I mean, $50 is a drop in the pond, right? Damn. If you're spending $500 like per month on gas for the purpose of work, I mean, that is rough. Real rough. Miss FireX said Amber Heard lied. It's a fact, simple facts.
Uh-oh. Andrew, I think you froze. Yeah, I'm looking on the public side. Can y'all, is it me or is it Andrew, folks? Because I'm looking in StreamYard. I think we might have lost Andrew. Okay. Hang tight. He's probably going to be logging back in here in a second. He might have just had a brief crash. We got you covered. Okay. So it's Andrew Unplugged right now. So Valiant Renegade, welcome aboard to Valiant Renegade's live stream. Thank you all for watching. We have almost 3,000 people in the chat right now. Please make sure you go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, share this sucker out on the social medias like Twitter and Facebook, and do drop a comment in the live chat and drop a comment below the video after the live show concludes. And look, Andrew's gone. He's got me in here. I am now running this show. Okay. And of course, my camera's all goofy, so I'm going to do my best, but I'm in here. You have to look at my face this big now because I have no control of back set. So, so Andrew should be back in soon. I'm going to keep my eye on my phone because I'm sure he's probably going to try to call me or text me or DM me here in just a moment. Let me make sure. Hope, I have a feeling he just got punched on internet. So Any case, I tell you what, I have this backstage. I don't have administrative privileges, so I can't share what I have back set. So while he's out and while he's getting back, let's go ahead and talk about some of the Aquaman 2 stuff. I know Andrew probably had some other stuff to talk about, but let's talk about this Aquaman 2 thing with Amber Heard, just so y'all know. So what I'm looking at, and as soon as Andrew gets back, we'll pull this up on the screen for everybody to see. Again, I can't do it myself right now. But I'm looking at IMDb Pro, which is the professional paywall side of IMDb, which everybody probably may be familiar with. It's a professional Hollywood public or a production tracking site. You can go look up movies, actors, all kind of stuff. The Pro side gives you a lot more details. And what we know from Aquaman 2, I mean, this movie went into pre-production March 1st of 2021. So just a little over about a year, 3 months ago at this point, it went into pre-production. Filming began summer of last year, June 28th, according to the production records on IMDb Pro.
Yeah, here, let me pop again.
Hey, there he is. Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. Once again, I'm a hotel Wi-Fi, and we're trying to pull something up, and it literally crashed my computer. So we're gonna go down to. Brought the quality down to like potato cam level. These stats.
There we go. We were just talking about. Okay, I didn't know what you caught. I'm just filling in while you were going.
Go ahead.
So what I was getting to basically was the end of it was the filming, as you can see here, started on June 28th, 2021. And I want you to look at post-production. Now, having multiple date entries on post-production is not terribly uncommon, but the timing of these dates to me is very funny. So June 28th to December 12th, that was from July 1st, let's call it, through, so you got all of July, all of August, all of September, probably all of October. They had some delays because, of course, as it was rumored that Amber actually jabbed Jason Momoa in the eye with the trident during filming. That delayed some of it. You take out the main star. So let's say they had 4 months or so of principal photography. And again, with the delay, probably a movie like this, 60 to 90 days, a lot of CGI work, a lot of special shots to make this work. A very lengthy post-production period. It started December 12th. Does anybody notice there's another post-production date in there that began around April 8th? Another post-production update. I have a feeling that somebody might squirrel in another date here soon, around mid-May. This is when the rumors started, if you remember, in early April, that she was being cut. Her time was being cut down from the film, right? She had an unknown amount of time. And I see people talking about, oh, well, they boosted her time back to 20-25 minutes. We're getting there. We don't know how much time she originally had, but according to Walter Hamada's testimony during the trial, her involvement in the film, while it may have been 20 to 25 minutes initially, apparently it was not, let's just say it was a rather expendable portion of the film, okay? This movie centered around Jason Momoa's character, Aquaman, and Patrick Wilson's character. I forget who he's playing in this. Not a surprise, James Wan is doing this movie. If you don't know, James Wan does all the Conjuring stuff, all that whole franchise, of which Patrick Wilson has been the star, along with Vera Farmiga. So that's why Patrick Wilson's in this one. Directors like to work with their same actors. So this is a buddy cop comedy, is what Walter Hamada described it as during his testimony in the trial. It centers around Patrick Wilson and Jason Momoa. Amber Heard effectively was expendable. Of course, we all remember the testimony that she had bad screen chemistry with Jason Momoa. They had to do a lot of extra work in post-production and editing for the first Aquaman film to make it look like they worked together, but they were not a fan of Amber's. But they already had an option on her, and there was no sense in trying to go out and recast her for Aquaman 2. Just throw her back in there, but they were going to minimize her role in the film. Then all this crap started. Then we got the rumor that her time had been cut to 10 minutes or less. We don't know what it was before, but let's assume it was 20 minutes. We got the rumor it was cut to 10 minutes or less. Then we more recently got a rumor that she has been eliminated from the film altogether, and I think she even said something as much while she was on the stand, or something to that effect, that her role in Aquaman had been
reduced substantially, right?
Yeah, reduced substantially.
Which was speculation. And I believe the objection was speculation on that. When she brought that up, she's like, I think it was it's like, how the fuck would you know? Like, she's not involved in like post-production, so how would she know? Does she
Well,
have a
but
way to know?
her agent probably would be in touch to find out I mean, if you have an agent like that, that's kind of their job. They're trying to find out, okay, well, how much of their client's footage is actually going to make it to the screen versus hitting the cutting room floor. I can see that. And there was probably some back channel stuff. It's like, look, just letting you know, your client is going to get shanked out this movie. Just letting you, I mean, I could totally, that's how Hollywood works. Everything is this. Okay. Now, what people are talking about this past week with, oh, well, you mean they cut her role, like they doubled her time and put her back to 20 minutes, right? Because people started talking about these test screenings.
Right.
Test screenings. Let me tell you how test screenings work. And this, especially for movies of this budget size. We're talking about a near $200 million budgeted film. They make multiple versions of that film. And as I said on Twitter earlier this week, when they started talking about, well, somebody saw it, Amber was in there for over 20 minutes. She was in the film, according to people who saw the movie. They saw a version. I'm going to tell you what Warner Brothers did. I'm going to explain this very simply. They know the problem they have right now. Okay? Thank God it's not as big a problem as Ezra Miller. That's another conversation. But with Aquaman 2, my belief, they're testing 3 versions of this film, at least. They're testing the original version where Amber was in the movie as they had what they call the final shooting script. Scripts go through tons of revisions as they get from pre-production to actual principal photography. So what they're, whatever Amber was in for the final script cut of the movie, they left that intact. Then they probably showed another screening that had her cut down to 5 or 10 minutes. And then they probably showed a third screening that had her in it not at all. This is what I'm betting. And here's why. Because when Warner Brothers cuts her out of this movie altogether, as they are likely to do, and there will be screeches and squeals from the kids out there on Twitter.
The will be heard like throughout the ages.
Will be heard.
Yes.
This is a cover your butt moment for Warner Brothers. Because what they want to do, and this happens with all movies. This happens with Avengers,
I was going to say,
Endgame, Spider-Man.
Wouldn't they float the idea in order to see how much sentiment is behind it, and then ultimately clip it the way that most people want?
Take audience test scores with these test screenings,
right?
And what they're looking for is to say, when later on, here's what's going to happen. Warner Brothers is going to make a press release saying, "Well, look, we understand some people are upset that Mira was not in the second film." But that was the version of the movie that tested the highest with audiences. This is why they're doing this. I'm telling you, they do this with movies all the time. They make multiple. But
Valiant, are you saying that they really don't? Are you saying they're going to only consider the test screenings and they're going to ignore the petition, ignore the potential? Because I don't think I mentioned this before. Like the point, and I put this in the title, and I want to make sure that you guys who accuse me of clickbait make sure I mention it so it's not clickbait. The boycott, because the threat is that if Mira gets 20 minutes and she's not cut from it, she's a significant character in it for whatever standard that is, that there's going to be a boycott of Aquaman 2. They're not going to consider that if there's, X thousand people or 100,000 or 1 million people who sign a petition. They're not going to consider that.
No, they will consider it. But this is my point. Is my point is all these films still do test screenings like this,
right?
With different, like sometimes they'll shoot different endings. Famous example out there, if for anybody who remembers, everybody remembers Little Shop of Horrors?
Yes.
I always use this as a great example. So the original Broadway play of Little Shop of Horrors, the plant wins. The plant kills everybody. The plant takes over. The original ending to the film with Rick Moranis had the same thing. If you have the 4K version of it, you can watch the original ending just like the Broadway play. The problem is that when they did a test screening, this is way back in the early 80s, obviously. When they did a test screening, they made a second version where they killed the plant. And the audience reaction to the film was much more positive to having the plant die at the end than have the plant kill everyone, even though that was the famous Broadway version. So all these kind of films do stuff like this. Aquaman 2 is no different. They absolutely are hearing the backlash. They know the public sentiment right now is radically against Amber Heard. And they just watched the last Fantastic Beasts movie, the new Harry Potter film, died in the theater. I mean, Warner Brothers lost 150 million plus on that.
On a Harry Potter property. I mean, that's almost as bad as losing money on a Star Wars.
Yeah, and that's exactly which Star Wars did too. But that was because a lot of that I think had to do. First of all, the movies weren't that great. Secondly, certainly cutting Johnny Depp out of it after, especially after what happened. Since then it was definitely impactful. So I cannot see Warner Brothers making that mistake again. If they can figure out a way to remove Amber completely from the film, and sometimes you can't always do that because she might have been involved in scenes that were very germane to the movie itself, that unless they physically go back in and reshoot the whole scene over again, which can be very costly in a movie like this, just like it was with Doctor Strange when they reshot out everything there for 6 weeks. I don't know if they're gonna throw any more money at this. I think they're gonna try to
Well,
minimize her role as best as
how
possible.
about if they have her like R.I.P. Mira? They like nuke her character in that version. I mean, I think that
I
would.
heard a rumor earlier this week that, and I don't know how true it is, I can't remember where I read it, that they're gonna basically kill her off screen, kill the character Mira off screen, like the movie's gonna open up, Mira died in childbirth.
Oh, nice. So this is like the baby
Spoiler
here.
alert.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
that'll be easy, right? That'd be easy when, oh well, Mira
If they
died.
can
Yeah.
remove her from the rest of the movie without mucking up what they already have, probably what they're trying to figure out right now, and this is why this movie they're probably thrilled it's not coming out till next year because it gives them a lot of time to fix things. They're probably trying to figure out a way right now, if they haven't already, to either use what they got and still have a good movie, or figure out what they absolutely have to go back and get Jason Momoa and Patrick Wilson back in there to reshoot and like do the same scene over again, but remove Amber Heard from the scene and give the lines to somebody else or something. Um,
Right.
all of that's on the table. I'm not saying that is happening, but I'm saying they're in the writers' room right now. There's a lot of this going on.
So
Trying to
yeah,
figure, yeah,
there's definitely discussions thinking about
yeah,
it. I don't think that, and I don't think anybody can argue with in good conscience that, hey, they're just going to keep her in, ignore all of this. They're not going to pay attention to any of this. They don't care about the money. They don't care about the backlash. I
yeah,
mean, there's no possible way, because they've got to think, hey, we want this, franchise to succeed. And like you've mentioned in the past, Valiant, is that we're entering into an era where numbers matter, things matter, the revenue matters. And you can't keep someone in a movie if you know that nobody's going to go see that movie. It's already going to be a movie that's struggling because the DC franchises are struggling vis-a-vis Marvel.
mm-hmm.
You know that it's going to be a push, and you know that sequels are something that always struggle. So I think you need everybody in those seats that you can get in those seats, and there may be people that in fact show up if they know that Amber Heard is cut from the movie. There may be
Yep,
people that show up to support that decision, which
exactly.
is an interesting play here.
Look, here's the
Um,
bottom line. This movie is, I think, and everybody at Warner Brothers, especially a guy like David Zaslav, who's running the ship now, he's got to know that this movie stands to make a lot more money without her in it than with
mhm.
her in it, even for a second.
Boom.
Um,
That's it right
and
there.
that's it.
That's it.
They're going to
That's
try
it.
to cut her down as much as possible without going to a lot of extra expense. Which again, right now, and this is how crazy the situation is. This is this is by far and away not the worst situation that Warner Brothers is in right now with having to fix a movie. That's the Flash movie. They don't know what the hell to do with that right now. And I'm not even kidding. My contention is like, take that movie, burn it, and they can't release it because it's going to be terrible. Because the Ezra Miller thing is just that's so far
Yeah,
gone.
that's
That's what's
blowing up.
crazy
You want
is
to
that
talk about
Ezra
sexual
Miller right
harassment?
now is saving Amber Heard's ass.
Yep, because he's so bad.
Think about that. Ezra Miller is bailing Amber out of the pokey when it comes to movie editing and post production right now.
I'm
That's
crazy.
where we're at.
That's a hell of a world. Well, I guess Amber can send Ezra a fucking thank you note right now. Speaking of thank you notes, let me catch these up. So Matrix, thank you for joining, being a member of BLM, aka the Base Legal Mindset. You have access to the emojis to essentially special chats. If nobody else is chatting, we got no super chat backlog. I'll try to call out your chats when I can. And obviously, if I have any special members only content, you'll have access to it there. My dog stepped on a beat. Great questions. Andrew, you heard Horatio Sands grope allegations 20 years ago at SNL after party in front of Tina Fey and Will Ferrell. And a lady sued Geico for catching an STD in her car and won $5 million only in America. So about that last one, I did hear that. She caught HPV from a man, human papillomavirus, from a man while she was banging him in the front seat of a car and it was insured by Geico. Geico was like, that's not covered. And they end up suing. Initially, it's ruled for in favor of the lady, but she's appealing. I'm sorry, Geico is appealing that decision, saying this shit should not be covered by insurance. Like, this is ridiculous.
Where did she file a lawsuit? Was it Los Angeles or New Orleans? Because that's the only two places that have a jury pool that is fucking stupid enough to award that.
She got the money. I need to do a deep dive on that one. I just read like the summary version. I'm like, I need the case. Like, I need to read the judge's reasoning on it. Like, what was the reasoning on this one? Like, was it a bench trial? Was it a jury trial? I'm not even sure.
Worse than the $4 million for the coffee at McDonald's 20 years ago.
No. Actually, but that one, but actually, Valiant, that one I actually agree with, because there's actually I think there's a documentary called like Hot Coffee or something like that, or something like that. But the wounds that woman received were like grievous, like it burned through to the bone. And here's the thing: McDonald's knowingly kept the temperature dangerously hot and were warned to not do that. And they did it because it was like a cost savings or easier or something like that. So they did it knowing that it could injure people. So that's why they got the punitive damages. But then the tort reform passed. So she never actually got the $5 million. She got like a much lower amount. But they did a huge campaign against that for the hot coffee.
That's been so long now, I forgot. I will say, I just remember how crazy it was, thinking somebody sued McDonald's $4 million for hot coffee.
Right.
I think I was a teenager when that thing came out.
Yeah, I mean, I was young too. I remember that, and I remember thinking the exact same thing you did till I watched the documentary, and I was like, "Oh shit, this lady literally had her skin burnt down to the bone." That's fun. By that, I mean, not fun. But Horatio Sands, I hadn't heard about that. Once again, this to me, and we're getting into a lot of situations like this where these 20 years ago situations are coming up. I saw this in the news, but I haven't seen proof of a complaint being filed or any police report or anything else being filed against Horatio Sands. My thing is, investigate all crimes, right? Or maybe believe all victims. I'm not really sure about that, because it involves you being a true victim. Right. And then you have to vet who is a victim and who is not a victim. And to do that, you have to investigate. Right. So, I would say, look, we need to look into that. I'm happy to look into that. Sounds like that's something that'd be fine to look into. Whether or not he did it, I mean, we got to find out. Who knows? Maybe there's facts out there that support it. Maybe there's facts out there that counter that. I have no idea, but good topic. And I appreciate you guys. What I really do appreciate is you guys essentially sending me topics to cover, because that really helps me think about what I am going to cover and what I'm going to talk about, not talk about. And there's one more person who said, look forward to Manson stuff coming out. You covering? Yes, I will cover the Manson trial as it develops, of course. So, I mean, Valiant, Aquaman 2, right? Do you think, let me ask you something. Do you think this is going to be because this is a little bit off topic, guys, but this is what I like to do, especially with Valiant, because I want to talk about bad and good movies. How do you think this movie is going to do? Like, in general, like, what's your predictions for Aquaman 2?
Oh God. Here's the thing, this far out, and this is the hat trick. It is so hard to determine. Let's see if they have a release. Okay. Release date March 17th. Okay. Not a bad time, because there's usually not a whole lot of competition around that time of the year. That's around a traditional Marvel release date. Marvel MCU stuff would usually drop. They'd have a February or March movie. Then they would have a movie like we just had with Doctor Strange in May. Then they'd have a big July or August release or something like that. So March 17th right there. Well, depending on where it actually falls in line, and I can pull that up while we're talking. I think, look, here's the thing. This is all going to be determined by whether or not Amber is removed from this, and the marketing. And again, we're talking about almost a year from now. So if enough people kind of forget this by next year, if they start putting out trailers, like they probably will start putting out trailers by the end of the summer. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a trailer for this movie, this DC film, before Thor: Love and Thunder in July. Like, they're going to try to have something, superhero movie piggybacking on another superhero movie.
Right.
I think definitely you will not see Amber in that trailer. Bank on that. Okay.
Right.
But I don't even know if I'll put it this way, even if they leave her in the movie for a minute because they can't help it and they don't want to spend another $10 million to reshoot a big ass CGI scene to get her out, they'll probably never have her in the trailers. People go to the theater and they might see a minute of her or something like that and go, "Oh, that bitch,"
Yep.
But by a year from now, it might look. All of that depends on how good the movie is. If this is a really good movie that surprises people, if it winds up being like a Top Gun Maverick, for
Well, and
example,
this is what I'm gonna get. Like,
yeah,
are they not gonna look at? Because I don't want to take any juice from any of the videos that you put out. By the way, guys, obviously you can go follow Valiant. You
it's
guys have his
fine.
information. I'll put that in the description. For you guys to follow. But you've been covering good movies,
Mhm.
and is there not something that good movies are doing to make money that like kind of a more, I don't want to say a template, but a way they can make good movies that are performing well? Because I mean, we have some good movies that are performing well right now. At least one good movie, right? Top Gun Maverick is Maverick Top Gun is
That has been an absolute like
killing it.
I can't figure out. I mean, this movie just continues to blow my mind at the financial performance that it's had. And it's not always about who gets the highest dollars. It's about what the analysts expect to happen to a
Mhm.
film once it launches. And then does it meet?
Right.
Does it fall below or does it exceed those expectations? Top Gun is 3-day opening weekend of $126 million, which is better than what they expected up front. Not by much, but better than what they expected. Then the unexpected stuff started happening. And it held almost 14, $15 million every single day the following week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Because word was
Then
getting
this
at it was good.
then exactly, big word of mouth. Then the second weekend it pulled in $91 million. It dropped 28.5%, which is unheard of. Unheard of for a movie, especially one that opens over a movie that opens up 100 million plus. Usually those movies drop between 50 and 60%. A good drop, like if, hey, you got a really good movie, you only dropped 40% in the second weekend. No, no, no.
Mhm.
This thing fell less than 30. This is nuts. And it banged it out all week long. And after 10 days in the theater, the graph crossed Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
That's just insane.
Doctor Strange right now is performing at 2.1 times its opening weekend in the US and Canada. Top Gun Maverick is already to 3.1, and it's
Wow.
17 days in, not 38 like Doctor Strange. This thing has been just mind-blowing.
Mhm.
But
Right.
but part of it is how much competition do you have, and I pulled this up so you can see next year. We don't know anything about Dungeons& and Dragons yet. Chris
Right.
Pine is in it, so
I
that's
mean,
probably gonna
so
be a big
so it's
pull.
kind of an ensemble cast right there, right?
Yeah,
So
so, I mean, there's not a whole lot yet slated in March that's gonna give that movie a lot of competition. John Wick 4 the next weekend, I know I'll be there for that one. But, like,
well,
there's
you're
no
not
big
in Scream
Disney
6.
MCU competition. Yeah. Scream 6. That's the one that, what Nev Campbell just
Right.
middle fingered him. She's not gonna be in it.
There,
They didn't
so
pay her
that
enough. Yeah.
there's nothing right around. There's nothing
No.
around this that, and so that might be the only thing out. But also, I guess the other thing is, what's the movie going market? Is this going to be released? Here's another thing. Question is this going to be released? Aquaman, right?
Mhm.
DC. Are they going to be releasing straight to streaming services? Or I mean, is that
Oh,
because that's
no.
obviously something?
Those days
Yeah,
are done.
those things are
That's
done.
those days are done. No,
Okay.
that's why okay, so Jason Kilar, that whole 2021 with the whole day and date release, HBO Max and theater, that
Yes.
was the brainchild of Jason Kilar. It was called Project Popcorn, and they were very nervous. They started it with Wonder Woman 84 in December of 2020,
Yes. 184. Yes.
and it was very quickly realized that, yeah, I was bringing in some good subs to HBO Max, but it was also murdering the financial performance of these films in the box office. And especially when they had to stroke several hundred millions of dollars in checks to Legendary Pictures for Kong versus Godzilla and then Dune and all this other kind of. By the way, Jason Kilar has been fired. He no longer works at Warner Brothers. By the way, he was Walter Hamada's boss.
Mm.
Okay, He was fired when David Zaslav came in. Kalar was one of the first people to go. So, what does that tell you? Project
Yeah.
Popcorn did not work. So no, they're not doing that crap anymore. That's why they didn't even put. They didn't really have. Well, I think they had a 45-day window on the Batman that came out earlier this year. I think that the die has been cast, and the theaters need Hollywood more than Hollywood needs the theaters, because
Right.
the theatrical exhibition is the only thing that can help them recoup up front the enormous costs of these kind of films. Now,
Right.
some things will they put directly on HBO Max and bypass the theater? Yes. Well,
Netflix, right?
yeah, well, no, even HBO Max. I mean, like they'll make some things that they'll just decide to put it on because they don't want to spend the extra 50, 100, 200 million dollars to globally market something.
Mhm.
They'll put it on, but I mean, big headline stuff, DCEU stuff like Aquaman and all this kind of stuff. No, that's going in the theaters because
Really?
there's no. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you
okay.
have to.
And the viewership, you think the numbers are back up to justify that? The amount of people going into theaters globally is
Oh
at a
yeah.
point in which to support, okay, MCU level, they can
Spider-Man: No Way
support.
Home blew apart the narrative that people don't want it. $2 billion,
Yeah.
and they're putting it back in theaters in 2 months. So
Wow.
they're adding a lot of extra footage they deleted
Just to rerun it and
just
get
to
the
rerun
cash.
it and break the $2 billion threshold, which
Got
is
it.
what I predicted they would do. So I called my friends at Sony. I said, "Y'all got to put this back in so I can be right." So they're going to do it for me.
Yeah. By
But
the way,
yeah.
Jasmine pointed out a lady asked $2,000 from McDonald's. McDonald's said 500 and went to trial. Yeah, so I think that's the point. When the punitive damages hit was when they got over $1 million. It was mostly to punish the corporation because how much it was based on how much McDonald's makes in a day. And McDonald's made like millions of dollars off of coffee in a day, and that's why that verdict came out at that particular number. Just by the way, that was a fun fact from the trial. But appreciate that. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting because I think we have a templates for how you can make good movies. Now you can do well. And when you keep the politics out of the movie, right? When you make
Oh
it a
yeah.
movie that has a good story, I thought Top Gun had a great story, right? I think Spider-Man No Way Home had a great story.
It was just
And
a good movie.
just a
That's
good
it. It was
movie.
it was well written, well constructed. You gave fans exactly what they asked you for, and then went over the top. You basically you over delivered. You didn't preach to them. You didn't finger wag at them. You didn't lecture to them. You
Yeah,
just gave them good, solid entertainment. And you know what happened? A funny thing happened. They kept coming back and buying it again and
exactly.
again and again and again. Another $50 million this past weekend for Top Gun after the $90 million second weekend.
Right.
And I promise you, this week it's probably going to pull it. By the end of next weekend, this movie is going to be close to 500 million domestically. I mean, it's going to have smoked Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is done.
So
That was just an example of just the other way. People went to go see it. Heavily front-loaded box office in the opening weekend, bad word of mouth after, or very mixed word of mouth, and it just died after that opening weekend.
yeah.
By comparison.
And I think that kind of sets the stage for where we go here, and especially with like why would you put Amber Heard in a movie right now? I mean, forget about Aquaman, right? I
Bad
mean, any
marketing.
other movie, it's bad marketing. If you're trying to make the money, if you're really concerned about the bottom line, if you're really concerned about having those giant opening weekends, why take the risk on Amber Heard, right? You've got a bunch of other options. She's easily replaceable. There's many other women out there that can fill the exact same role as Amber Heard can.
Mhm.
I don't see any reason why anybody should virtue signal with Amber Heard. And honestly, I almost wish, Tug said he almost wished that they would do it, so it would give people a reason not to go and kind of set a point, set a message here. I can see that sentiment, but frankly, I think it's a better justification to not have her get paid for that time and or at least to remove her as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, she still got paid for it, and that was
Right,
one of the key
right.
points of the
Yeah.
trial. But yeah, no. Look, here's the thing. Um, Warner Brothers already did that experiment, and they already got the results. We just talked about it. It was the Harry Potter movie.
Yes.
They removed Johnny Depp from it. And again, because at the time, this was before a lot of this information happened, because you got to remember with that year-long COVID production delay, a lot of like Top Gun was finished 2 years ago. Top Gun
Right.
has been in the can, done for 2 years.
Right.
We're just finally seeing it now because of COVID. Um, Fantastic Beasts, kind of a similar story. They took Johnny Depp out of there. Does anybody doubt right now for a minute? Think about this in the middle of the Depp trial. And at that point, everybody was justice for Johnny, justice for Johnny, justice for Johnny. If Johnny Depp had been Grindelwald in this movie,
oh man, and this dropped right after the verdict. That would
well, no, it dropped. It came out like right when the trial started. But even if they had pushed it back a month and dropped it, can you imagine? This movie would have made 2-3 times easy what it did at the box office.
People would have just gone to support Johnny. Exactly. And they would have gone to see that movie to support Johnny. That would have been it. That would have been the hit. It doesn't matter if the story sucked. It would be the I mean, apparently the virtue signal that was actually virtuous, right? Like the actual, the actual person who was abused here, right? Really, really crazy. And Matrix says, by the way, here says, no woke means you don't go broke. Well, that's what I think people are learning, right? Is that
just keep politics out of people. Go see movies to escape politics.
Right. Escapism.
It's not, it's like sports. It's the same thing happened like when the NFL and when all the players decided to put the politics on the field or on the side of the court and all this kind of stuff and it just turned people off. People don't, that's not what they're there for. You can go do that on your own time, but not on the company clock, please.
Yeah. When they started to make it a political statement to like go to a game or to watch a particular sport, it's like, well, clearly you're asking people to tune out, right? You're saying that certain people are not your customers anymore, which is very, very interesting. Yeah. Super Iron Bob says, I read the comics MCU is based on back in the day. The ones they're committed to in the upcoming ones are going to tank, probably taking DC movies with them. So I guess, do you see that as tied together? Do you see the fate of like the MCU and DC is tied together intrinsically or maybe not so much?
It's a genre. I mean, I do agree to an extent with the notion that I think the superhero movie has run its course. Yeah. And I get it. Look, we've been doing this now for
over a decade,
15 years almost now since the first Marvel movie came out. It was 2008. That was before Disney bought all that stuff. That was still being distributed through, what was it, Paramount or Universal and all. I mean, so a lot has changed. It also doesn't help that the writing, at least like especially since the end of Marvel's Phase 3, basically since Infinity War and Endgame, has really gone downhill. And I'm talking about a lot of the TV shows that they made too.
Right.
They're at this point, it seems like they're just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what they can get to stick. They're like, well, this says MCU on it, so people will show up. That's what happened to Doctor Strange. Everybody showed up Friday and Saturday, and then after that, they realized, well, this kind of sucks. And that was the end of it. If they do that again with Thor, Love, and Thunder, which they very well might, I mean, the trailers don't intrigue me one bit for that movie. I don't want to go see this again. So
I saw those trailers. I'm like, no, this is not something I could do. Now,
of course, now everybody's a girl.
Here's one you could do. Peggy says, will Disney ask Johnny Depp back for Pirates of the Caribbean 6? All you need to do to make billions on Pirates of the Caribbean 6 is create one short little trailer with Johnny Depp in it for one freaking flash of a second, and you've got a Pirates of the Caribbean 6 that makes billions of dollars. That's my opinion. But
I think if they put it this way, it doesn't matter if Disney at this point makes a Pirate 6 and they don't have Depp in it solidly, like not just showing up for a second in the movie, but they need to have him in it. That movie will bomb because it'll be another one of these. It'll be the Harry Potter movie all over again. It'll be the audience will rebuke it because Depp's not in it, and he should be.
Yeah.
Don't play with fire.
100%. Contrarian says the last quality superhero film was 2000 Sin City. Okay, well, I think there were a couple that were decent, but I will say I fucking love Sin City because I read the Frank Miller comics. Like, I remember reading them in Virgin Megastore. Do you remember Virgin Megastore? Like,
oh yeah,
I would go read that. Bought a lot of anime from them. It was like a good store back in the day. Speaking of anime, by the way, Brandon the anime guy says, amazing what happens when something that doesn't suck is allowed to be set free. Hail Legal Mindset and Valiant Renegade. Cheers, gentlemen. Brandon, so sorry I couldn't make the anime cast the other day. The Wi-Fi was shit. Even tonight, I'm in a different hotel, and this Wi-Fi is shit too. I'm tired of hotel Wi-Fi's in America. by the way, America, get your shit together in hotel rooms. Give me some good Wi-Fi. I did have one in the residence inn that I was in the other day that had good Wi-Fi, but
I can't
other than
believe
that,
when
it's
you
been horrible.
dropped out, I didn't go, I am the captain now. I should have
I'm
done
the
that.
captain now. No, everyone's like, Valiant did a good job stalling. I'm like, yes, he is a professional and he is a consummate gentleman. So he is excellent at stalling. He's excellent stalling, and I deeply appreciate that. But yeah, I think the end game for superheroes is soon. I do think there's, honestly, I remember watching The Boys, and I'm like, this is sort of like a catharsis. It's kind of good now as a catharsis on like how we can kind of mock the superhero genre like afterwards. And I know The Boys is a comic book, and I know it's been around for a while, but I think it was well timed, for us to kind of have this, coming back and mocking the superhero genre. I don't like all of it. I think the last season was weak. I haven't seen the new season, but the one before.
There will be some outliers. Like people will go see Ryan Reynolds do Deadpool again because it's so off. It's different.
Yeah, it's
people
different.
like Invincible on Amazon, which was
Do they?
excellent. Oh yeah,
Okay.
that was a very. Did you watch it?
No, I heard mixed reviews.
It's very good. It's the animated series I'm talking about.
Okay.
Invincible.
Okay. Yes, I think I heard
very well. I mean, no, because it's a lot. It's people don't. It's very violent. It's incredibly violent, but the writing in it, the story is fantastic. I enjoyed the hell out of it. So there's stuff out there like that where the superhero genre will still go. But I think this across the board, like having 4 or 5 movies a year come out from the MCU where it's just character. And look, all the characters they have coming up now are all the Disney invented characters from the last 10 years since they bought Marvel. Nobody knows who the hell these people are.
And no one gives a shit about them.
Exactly.
It's like no one is invested in them at all. Sorry, America Chavez. No one gives a shit, right? I mean,
nobody knows who these. They didn't. Their comic books didn't sell. I mean, it's people were buying anime. They were reading Demon Slayer, not America Chavez, and some of this other stuff, or Ironheart.
Yeah, and they're still reading it, and they're still paying for it, right? And that's why anime is doing so well. Shout out to everybody. Brandon was in there. We got our thick anime thighs here. Enjoying the first Deadpool. But yeah, it's something that people are tuning out of and tuning into other media, right? Because there's other good stuff out there. Rogue Thought says, I'm not paying to be force-fed an ideology. I haven't seen a movie in a theater since 2015. I watched The Weird Gem That Escapes the Woke BS. Well, that is kind of one thing. I've seen a lot of people take this kind of tact where they're not going to the movie theaters, but they'll see something that's good, like when it comes out or it's released elsewise. Like they'll see something that is good. And honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, Valiant. I haven't gone to an opening weekend since long before even COVID because of how woke everything is. And I got to be sure that the cut that comes out is not the super, propaganda cut.
I've gotten a lot more selective. Like I knew I was going to go see Top Gun opening weekend. I'm like, this is what I'm going to punch it in on. And I'll see a few things like that. Like I went to go see Jurassic World Dominion. Not woke at all. Just not, it's not that great, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But it was a dinosaur movie. Like I went to go, I knew because Renegade.
You went to see. Well, hold on. You went to go see Jurassic World. Was it Domination or whatever it is?
Dominion. Yeah. I saw it yesterday.
So what your take was? Because the critics said it was shit. So I was like, all right, is it bad? Is it shit? What is it? Movie?
I wouldn't go so far as to call it shit. I would say that it wasn't like. I'll put it this way: I didn't walk out of there going, "Oh, I got to see this again." When I walked out of Top Gun, like 5 minutes into Top Gun, I'm like, I'm going to see this again. I knew right away. That was, and again, very rare.
Such a fucking good movie.
Yeah. I've seen it twice already. I'm going to see it a third time. I promise you. But with Jurassic World, I'm like, I'll watch it again when it hits DVD, because Renegade Jr. is going to want to watch it because he loves dinosaurs. He can name all the dinosaurs before they say what their names are in the movie.
Right.
Okay. That kind of thing. So, but it was okay. I mean, it's like I've seen this. It's another like the funniest thing about it was the bad guy was a knockoff of it was Apple and Tim Cook. I swear to God, go what? It's hilarious. I'm like, I could not stop. Why the whole time I was distracted. Like the villain in this movie is Tim fucking Cook from Apple. It looks exactly like they made him up just like him, and even the compound they're in, his base or whatever. It looks like the Apple
Sorry,
campus.
I'm going to read this from one of my mods who says, "I heard the plot is the worst parts of Jurassic Park and the worst parts of Born Identity put into one movie." Oh God!
I'll put it this way. Like I said, I wasn't tripping over myself on this. I mean, there were some really fun scenes. There's some good stuff in there.
Right.
Some of it's just, but I mean, as far as like a story, meh. I
Yeah.
can, it's
Yeah. Tarkina Meyer says Free Guy was the last good movie. I saw it on the plane. It was actually, honestly, I thought it was a decent movie. Like
that movie, I enjoyed the hell out of that movie.
It was fun. Like it was a fun one, especially for like a flight, which is there. Oh, got a bunch here. It says the one man alien planet Holocaust in Invincible was pretty great, beautifully animated too. Okay, don't spoil it for me, bro. I haven't seen this. Thanks. 2X Vision.
J.K. Simmons as Omni-Man in that show is just fantastic.
Contrarian says subtle cultural influence will always be greater than ticket sales. That's why alphabet agencies so often work with Hollywood. Yes, that's been a thing, right, for a long time. Is CIA, FBI, the government, funding stories. Also, why China was so interested in influencing Hollywood. Was to get that subtle shift. I mean, can we still talk about that? I don't know. Are we going to get banned by our overlords?
Well, I mean, you mean Hollywood.
Even Top Gun, right? Even Top Gun, right? And that was the one thing with Top Gun. They took off apparently one of the patches,
the Taiwan patch,
and they took it off. Did they put it back on? I didn't catch that.
It didn't open in China. That's why.
Fuck you, China. All right, I like it.
Jurassic World opened in China, but not Top Gun, not Doctor Strange, and
there we go. Last movie I saw in theater before Top Gun was Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Enough said. You don't need to say one more thing.
That will ruin movies forever.
Not just that, ruin that entire series there. For those that didn't get my Arrested Development comment earlier when I said, go see a Star Wars, ruin a Star Wars. But yeah, no, I mean that's one of the most tragic things, and obviously there's a whole fandom menace that has grown around that one. So that's a whole world of its own in terms of issues. Guys, it is midnight here. I have to wake up in the morning in like 6 hours for a flight. I was only going to do an hour stream, but I was like, I really enjoyed talking with Valiant, and obviously he's going to be back on. We're going to talk about these type of topics.
I think you started at what 10:50, so or my time 10:50. So
yeah, I've got an hour and 15 minutes, but I've got to wake up. I was doing a really short stream tonight, but literally I'm going to be back in Korea tomorrow. I'm not going to be streaming. On Monday I'm not going to be streaming because I'll be in transit, but Tuesday I'll be back. So guys, look forward to that. I'm going to be trying to get back into my regular groove of streaming early mornings Eastern time, and that should be my normal time. I will try to also maybe do, if we have a lot of news going on, I double stream. I'll do also a PM Eastern Standard Time stream. And I know that sometimes there's people that can only make it for that. So that'll be one that I keep open, but typically I'm going to do an AM stream. By the way, shout out from Mir said, can we all be happy for the revival of Berserk? Yes. I fucking love Berserk. It's a great series. That series, like, really, man, that honestly, Berserk is one of the animes that I will like read and watch and like consume all that content because it's so good. And it's so like raw, like so much raw humanity in that anime. My favorite animes ever. So yeah, I'm here for fucking Berserk, and all the memes, all the pictures, all the art, fucking amazing. Valiant, thank you so much, guys. Valiant Renegade on YouTube, on Twitter, at Valiant Renegade. Follow him. He follows me. Check it out. Check out all his videos, guys. I love you all. I'll be back traveling tomorrow.
You got one more super chat that came in from Marla's non-threatening unit.
Oh, got it. Thank you so much. Watched Everything Everywhere All at Once yesterday. It was good. Have you heard of that one, Brian?
Yes, I want to see it. It's on my list. It's is that the one with, I think Michelle Yeoh is the star. It's a multiverse movie that does multiverse better than Doctor Strange, is what everybody keeps telling me.
Nice. And, and by the way, guys, I'm like 100 or 200 subs from 77K. So if you watch this on the rewatch, smash that subscribe button. Let's get to 77,000. Let's just round it off here. But that
I got
being
about
said-
500 to go to 10K. So I'll,
Okay,
we're almost there.
get over to Valiant. Get over to Valiant. Smash it. Get him up to 10K. Guys, besides that, take care, Valiant, if you want to hang around for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Take care. Catch you later. Peace.